All right, folks, welcome in. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. This is JE Live, and we are here to talk about the Rams and what they've done so far early on in free agency. Before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that if you do enjoy this and you haven't subscribed yet, you can hit that subscribe button. You can also hit the like button, which is also known as the thumbs up button. It helps me out a ton. And you can also hit the bell icon, okay? Let's dive into it because I got a lot I want to get off my chest here, and I want to say this. I think the Rams are doing a great job in free agency early on. There are obviously some pieces that we can talk about that they're missing, that you do want to see them add, that I want to see them add, but I am feeling pretty darn good about where they're at right now, okay? I am. I think, first off, let's just go from the beginning of this offseason. You start off with Stafford. You go out, you get Stafford. You make sure that he's back, okay? That secures your spot, in my opinion, as long as everybody stays healthy or genuinely healthy. The Rams are going to at least the divisional round. We know that. But here's the deal. The Rams have to get over this hump, and they've come close. But this is the year. They got to get back to the Super Bowl, and they know that. So it starts with Stafford. Then right after that, the guy who spoke to the media, he said it on Twitter, Alaric Jackson, he told everybody how he felt. He said, look, there is only one quarterback that I want to play for. He said that. No other quarterback I want to play for. He says it on Instagram. Sure enough, as soon as Stafford agrees to come back and the Rams and Stafford agree on a deal, Alaric Jackson's back. And then we find out $7 million cap hit in 2025. What does that mean? Means the Rams have some wiggle room. Then all of a sudden, the Rams aren't done re-signing their own. In comes Tutu Atwell back, which I don't think myself and a lot of people included didn't expect him to be back. So now Tutu Atwell's back on a $10 million deal, which I do believe it is a $10 million cap hit in 2025. We haven't gotten official word on that, but I'm going to assume that's the case. So Atwell's locked in. Alaric's locked in. Then they go out and they trade away Jonah Jackson. Now, I was bummed by this, but immediately I wasn't, because when I saw that they freed almost $17 million in cap space, I was like, oh my God, they are on a tear right now. They know what they're doing. And then the Davante Adams move comes out, and that is the game breaker, because to me, I don't care what happens in free agency the rest of the time. If you added Davante Adams to that team last year, they beat the Eagles by a touchdown or two. Davante Adams is going to open up so much for that offense. But we're going down a timeline. So I'll get to exactly the little nuanced details of why I think Davante Adams is an absolute effing game changer that the Rams, I don't know if they've ever had at X. I'll explain. So you got Davante Adams. Then today, you lose Bobby Brown. That's a bummer. Love Bobby. You know, you lose Michael Hoyt. That's going to hurt. You lost Hunter Long. I wish him the best in Jacksonville. But you did go out. You got Poona Ford, who was the third best run defensive, interior defensive lineman. He's going to be playing really good football. Age 29. This is the peak of his game right now. This is as good as he's going to be. And they know what they're doing. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. If you lose a Bobby Brown to Carolina, you go out, you get Poona Ford. So then you have that, right? Then you go and get Coleman Shelton. Now, I didn't even think this was a possibility. He was not on my radar. You guys know I didn't even talk about the interior because I was like, oh, they traded away Jonah Jackson to just run it back with the same five. But I was wrong. That's not what they did. What they did was a course correction. They traded away Jonah Jackson. They traded him back to his old offensive coordinator, now new head coach, Ben Johnson. They traded him back into, a comfortable spot for him. And they basically traded him for Coleman Shelton. And you could say, wow, that sounds like a lopsided trade. But Coleman Shelton started 17 games for the Rams, 18 games if you include the playoffs, the previous year. Shelton is a guy that obviously Matthew Stafford has a lot of, rapport with. The coaching staff likes, and it's gotten better each year. Shelton is going to be your starting center. Now, does he have some issues to work on? Yeah, but he's getting better. Bo Limmer held it down for 15 games. He had an unfortunate mess up in the postseason. That shouldn't define his career. But the Rams know what they're doing. We don't know what the deal is for Coleman Shelton. We know Poona Ford is just under $30 million over 3 years. Likely going to be like a 2-year deal with like a 3rd year, very limited guarantees. We don't know Coleman Shelton's deal. But it sure sounds like he's a Ram. PFF has already upgraded him to being a Ram on their site. Courtney Cronin came out and said that they were really close on a deal earlier today. I expect that gets announced soon. Probably tomorrow. Here's the deal. People don't want to hear it, but this makes a lot of sense. There are still positions of need. I still want them to re-sign Ahkello Witherspoon. And by the way, he's by far the best cornerback left available on the market. What about Jair Alexander? He's not available. He's still on the Packers. They have not cut him yet. Ahkello Witherspoon is the best cornerback available. There's been a lot of cornerbacks off the board. So hopefully they get that done. Hoyt's gone. So the Rams are either going to add another guy via the draft at edge, sign somebody, which they're kind of running out of options there, or Brennan Jackson's going to get an opportunity to be the Michael Hoyt of this team. And you know what? I think he can do it. But here's the deal. This is a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl. And that to me is why they went out and got Coleman Shelton. Comfortability, familiarity, consistency, 4 penalties. Bo Limmer had 9 penalties, played 2 fewer games than Shelton this past year. Shelton has played back-to-back seasons of 1,100 snaps. He is not perfect. I have my issues. I do. He is not the best center in the world, but you know what? He's a good center. He is. And he's a better pass protector than Bo Limmer. I would say Limmer's probably a better run blocker. But last year's focus was we're going to go out, we're going to get Jonah Jackson, Kevin Dotson, we're going to move Avila to center, we're going to dominate you with our run game, and we're going to keep Stafford healthy. We're going to keep him maintained. We're going to run the football a lot. This year, they're going back to 2021. Whether you're ready for it or not, whether you believe it or not, they are putting a premium on airing the ball out. And I think another thing is that while Bo Limmer did a really nice job, there are a lot of things that you and I don't see because we're not on the field. We're not talking with him. We're not in the huddle. There's some miscommunications. And having a rookie center who's a 6th-round pick who wasn't supposed to start, there were quite a few stalled drives this past year that made you go, why? This isn't anything like a Sean McVay offense. You get Coleman Shelton back, who's a veteran, who's played 2,200 snaps in 2 years. Well, I think your odds are pretty good that you're not going to have as many of those stalled drives. The communication is going to be better. He's starting. They didn't just grab him to be a depth piece. If you really put 2 and 2 together, you can tell. Bo Limmer has a future in this league. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, do you want the 29-year-old center that has a lot of experience, has familiarity, has played in playoff games? Or do you want the rookie who, yes, he had a good rookie season, but he still has a long way to go? You're going to take the 29-year-old center if that's what you're trying to do to win a Super Bowl. So that's really what the realization for me was this. The Rams don't care about age. The Panthers went out. They have their model. Look at who they added. You know, I'm actually going to pull it up right now just to fully grasp the concept. Here's who the Panthers added today. Trayvon Merrick, he's 25 years of age. Tershawn Wharton from Kansas City, 26. Bobby Brown, 24. Patrick Jones, 26. They re-upped Michael Jackson, 28. Carolina has a type. Right now, Carolina is not trying to win a Super Bowl. They're trying to get back to the playoffs, but they're also trying to have sustained success. So Carolina is signing guys that are 24, 25, 26, and 27 years of age. The Rams just signed a 32-year-old receiver, a 33-year-old backup quarterback. They signed a almost 30-year-old interior defensive lineman and let the 24-year-old go, and they're signing a 29-year-old center. Connect the dots. They want veterans. This is the sign of a team, simply put, this is the sign of a team that wants to win a Super Bowl, but isn't just saying it because talk is cheap and they've already won one before, so they know what it takes. They're going out and finding those guys. Now, this does not mean necessarily that they're going to go out and get Von Miller again, which I guess I wouldn't be shocked if they did. That's not what this means. What this means is that they are trying to find the best suited guys that can step up in 2025 and win when it matters. That's why, to me, they should be a top 3 Super Bowl team this year. Number 1, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Give them number 1. Number 2, I'd probably give it to Buffalo. Or no, I'd probably give it to the Rams. And then 3 is probably Buffalo or Baltimore. Maybe Buffalo. I love what Buffalo did today. They got Michael Hoyt and they got Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer with Matthew Stafford or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, it's going to be like Robert Woods all over again. Remember when everyone was like, Robert Woods? I mean, not me. I loved Robert Woods. But when I remember Rams fans, not everybody was so thrilled about it. They're like, why are the Rams giving Robert Woods $8 million a year? At the time, that was a lot of money. And he comes from this organization that is number 1 in running the football. And then all of a sudden, he goes to the Rams and has immediate success. I'm bringing this back around to the Rams. Understand what I'm saying here. The whole point, like Josh Palmer to the Bills, people are complaining, oh, he's not a number 1 receiver. Well, you just paid him $12 million a year, so he might actually end up being your number 1 receiver. And guess what? I think it's a better fit than the Chargers. We watched the tape. I put the tape out on there. Justin Herbert was missing his target. But why am I wrapping this back to the Rams? How am I going to do that? It's very simple. Because sometimes when you find guys, no matter what age, what skill set, all that, they don't always end up in good scenarios. Davante Adams, this is bold, so hear me out when I say this. Davante Adams is in the best situation he has been in his entire career. Period. He's got Matthew Stafford. He's got Puka Nacua. He's got Tutu Atwell. That speed is going to open up opportunities, but then if you focus on the speed, well, now, or if you don't focus on the speed, well, now you have Davante Adams one-on-one, and you got Puka Nacua. You also have Tyler Higbee, who's finally healthy. You got Kyron Williams. You got, Sean McVay. He is in the best possible situation he has been in. It's that simple. Davante Adams is in such a good position right now. And the Rams are in such a good position right now because, look, the Rams don't have too many needs. Here are their needs. Corner, just bring back Akello. There you go. Safety, they're good for now. Next year, that will be a need. But if we're talking about the immediate future, bring back Akello. Linebacker, add a linebacker. I am kind of bracing for them to bring back Roseboom, who, again, I'm not against for the right price, but I want to see another guy. I don't want Roseboom starting necessarily. Just because I need a guy to be able to disengage from blocks a little bit quicker or just at all. And I need a guy that's going to be able to stop somebody like Saquon Barkley. Because you have to assume if you're building your team to win a Super Bowl, you have to assume you're going to have to be better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Simply put. Like, how the 49ers, when, Aaron Donald, they realized was going to be a problem, they started drafting offensive linemen. Like, they drafted McGlinchey, Remember that? They're drafting because they know that the Rams are a problem. The Rams are an issue. Oh, you got receivers that I have to worry about? Seattle's like, okay, we'll go out and we'll get some speed. We'll get some height. We'll grab, I'm not saying every team, every single pick is drafting a guy with the whole focus in mind of stopping a particular team. But if you're the Rams right now, your entire job right now is to knock off the Philadelphia Eagles because they are the champions. Whether you want to admit or not, or like it or not, the Philadelphia Eagles are the NFL champions. They are the Super Bowl champions. They are the king of the league, and they are the reigning and defending champions. That's simple. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So if you're the Rams, yeah, you have to find a way to beat that team. Get over the hump. How do you do it? We'll figure it out. If the biggest issue against that team was Saquon Barkley, then go out and try to plug the gap. Now, the common misconception is that, they needed to add another interior defensive lineman. They didn't need to let go of Bobby Brown. They need a linebacker. That's the biggest need. That's the only need that they have. If they retain the same guys, the only need they have is that they need another guy next to Omar Spades. That's why I mentioned Jamian Sherwood. That's why I mentioned Dre Greenlaw, who went to the Broncos. It's why I mentioned Nick Bolton, who was signed before free agency, just like Sherwood. It's why I mentioned Cody Barton, who got picked up by the Titans. There was a reason why I was mentioning these linebackers, because you need to get an upgrade. You need to have guys that can tackle. You need to have guys that can get off their blocks. What do I mean by that? Well, when you have a linebacker fly up into, traffic, and he's in the trenches, and he's getting blocked by an offensive lineman or a tight end or whatever, he needs to be able to disengage and go and make a play on the ball carrier. If you watch, that doesn't always work out for Roseboom. That's why I wouldn't mind taking him back. I just don't know if it makes a lot of sense to have him be your starter. Spades has gotten better at it, and he was a rookie last year. But, I still think they could use a boost. So do they draft somebody? Maybe. Do they sign somebody? We're kind of running out of guys to sign. If you want to know who's left, this is what I got here. So we got at linebacker, the remaining options. I'm pretty sure Akeem Davis-Gaither got picked up too. So did Spillane. It's Jack Sanborn, Devin Bush, EJ Speed, Tyrell Dodson. That's it. Personally, I think Dodson would be a great pickup. EJ Speed's a good run stopper, and so is Jack Sanborn. I think any of those guys would be good options. I do. But right now, I'm looking at signing a linebacker. That is an important step at this point in time for the Rams. I think they do need to do that. They should have gotten Greenlaw. I think he would have fit well. Didn't happen, is what it is, but I like the Poona Ford move. I like the Coleman Shelton move. I absolutely love the Davante Adams move. So let's get to this offense. Let's talk about it. What can we expect when you turn on that TV week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles on a Thursday night, because I can read the future, or it's just so easy to see how this is going to go down that I don't need to worry about it. It's going to be Rams and Eagles. It might be Eagles and Lions. I don't know if the Lions are on their schedule, but if they're smart, it'll be Rams Eagles to open up the season. Okay. And if that's the case, they open up on Thursday night. So here's the deal. You turn on that TV. You got number 9, Matthew Stafford, under center. You got Coleman Shelton at center. You got left guard, Steve Avila, right guard, Kevin Dotson. Left tackle, Alaric Jackson, making potentially his last year, starting. Rob Havenstein for the Rams. Wide receivers on the outside at X, the X receiver spot. You have Davante Adams. You got Tutu Atwell in the slot. and you got across from him, you have Puka Nacua. You have Tyler Higbee in line. How does this work? What are we looking at? Like, that's the thing. What are we looking at? And why did I say that Davante Adams is like unlike anything they've ever had? Well, in Sean McVay's history, he's had ex receivers like Demarcus Robinson, Brandon Cooks, Sammy Watkins. Watkins at times looked like an absolute dog. Like, you go back to that 49er game on Thursday Night Football, week 3 of 2017, I believe it was. That dude, the way he was running under the deep ball, like, you could tell this guy, he was crazy. But it wasn't consistent. That was the thing that hurt Sammy Watkins, injuries and consistency. When you talk about Davante Adams, this is an offense that has, for a long time, focused on scheming guys open. Right? That's a big thing for this team. They scheme guys open, whether it's Puka, whether it's Kupp, whether it's Tutu Atwell. You know who you don't have to scheme open at all? Davante Adams. Adams is a separator. My friend Sosa Kremenjas on Twitter, we talk about this all the time. Allen Robinson was a contested catch guy. Davante Adams is a separator. Separators over contested catch every day of the week. Josh Doxson, I don't know if you remember him from TCU. I absolutely loved this receiver. And by the way, Sos brought him up one time. Josh Doxson, and this is back in what, 20, I don't even know, man. What year was Josh Doxson? Anyway, Doxson, I was so convinced was going to be a superstar. I thought he was going to be incredible. But Doxson didn't really separate. He was just a guy that could go up, high point the football. He could win the contested catch battle. It's no different than N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry, Treylon Burks, these guys couldn't separate, but they won the contested catch. Oh, they catch everything. Well, in the NFL, if you're going to choose one or the other, do you know what's going to last the longest? Guys that can separate. What do I mean by that? Guys that get open. What does that mean? Well, when you look at Davante Adams and his hop steps and his rocker steps and all the things he does, his footwork off the line of scrimmage, still at age 32, he is going to beat just about anybody one-on-one. So what does that do for the Rams offense? Well, essentially what that does is it makes them really effing hard to beat. Because I don't care who your receivers are. I have a receiver that can get open no matter what. Period. End of story. Can get open no matter what I throw at him. So here's Davante Adams for you, okay? This is somebody, and I got a bunch of stuff here. So Davante Adams in condensed formations has 19 touchdowns. So what we didn't talk about in the Davante Adams video is that not only does Davante Adams offer the threat over the top, not only is he a route technician, not only is he a great natural hands receiver, he contortionist, getting his body in bounds and making that crazy catch, he's also a red zone specialist. 19 touchdown receptions in condensed formation since 2020, according to Next Gen Stats, leads the entire NFL. Next is Cooper Kupp with 17. Then Justin Jefferson with 16, Mark Andrews with 16, and Tyreek Hill with 15. Okay? Davante Adams isn't just going to help you between the 20 and 40 yard line. He's going to help you between the 20 and the end zone. He's going to help you all over the field. He can win after the catch. He can win before the catch. He can win in the end zone. He can go up and get a jump ball. He can also create the separation where he's got 3 yards on you. He can have a seam buster over the middle. He was one of the best damn receivers to end the season last year. He had, almost 100 yards per game the last 7 games of the year. Davante Adams is still a top 10 receiver, arguably top 5, and that means the Rams likely have 2 top 5 receivers on this team right now. This is, by all accounts, people that say that he's washed are lazy and they don't watch tape, and I don't care about their opinion. Sorry to be blunt, but I spend a lot of time trying to understand what the hell's going on with these players. Spend a lot of time watching tape, and I know a lot of you do as well. And I think it's a slap in the face to you and I that spend time watching this stuff, understanding it, actually doing the research, to then have somebody who doesn't have the football IQ, doesn't want to even learn, and doesn't bother to actually watch the tape and then try to have a conversation with you that's far from intelligent. It's a waste of space. It's a waste of our time and whatever. But the point being is that this happens a lot. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. The misconception is that Davante Adams is not washed. Congrats. You looked up his age. He's 32 years old. You're seeing Stephon Diggs having issues. You're seeing Cooper Kupp falling off. And now you're just going to assume anyone over 30 is going to be bad. Great analysis. And you know what? It's not just people, by the way, that are fans. I've seen actual analysts say this, which is embarrassing. But you know what? Who gives a rip? Because he's a Ram, and he is going to be so freaking good as long as he can stay healthy, which he's done. You get up there in age, it's a little bit easier to get hurt. I'm going to be honest with you. It is. But if Davante Adams is able to play 95% of the snaps or 90% of the snaps, dude, this offense is going to be off the chain. People are like counting down Matthew Stafford like this cliff, like he's going to fall off. But this might be the best situation he's been in. He gets Davante Adams, Puka Nacua, and Tutu Atwell, Kyren Williams, Tyler Higbee, and the same offensive line for the most part that he had in 2024 and 2023 for that matter. You know, he's also got Matthew Stafford and a defense that's going to force turnovers and a defense that is going to be dominant. Dude, how can you look at this Rams team and tell me, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make it this year. What are you watching? If they retain everybody, even if they retain the exact same defense, and now everything that they've done, they don't do another thing, their 22 is as good as any 22 in the league. Their starting 22 is as good as any starting 22 in the league, period. And they still have opportunities to improve. And they're not done. They're going to add more. Are they going to add a ton more? That I can't say. But, you know, within the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know how they do things. They didn't sign Ahkello Witherspoon in free agency, you know, the 2023 season. They signed him after the fact. Like, remember Nickel Roby-Coleman? They signed him late. They signed these guys. Bobby Wagner wasn't right at the bell in free agency. That was a later signing. They sign guys late. They don't always sign guys or I think that was earlier signing. Anyway, they don't sign guys as soon as free agency starts all the time. And they definitely don't sign all their guys on one day. So they're not done. But going back to the Davante Adams thing and why I'm so freaking amped is because when you watch him, this is what the Rams are missing. See, Cooper Kupp is definitely capable of this when he's at his 100% strength and everything, but I don't think he's been there since 2022 before he got hurt. No one wants to admit it, but I don't think Cooper Kupp has been there since the early part of 2022. Which, by the way, I'm going to defend Cooper Kupp here. Had he stayed healthy in 2022 and not had that freak ankle injury against the Cardinals, I think he was about to have another crazy season. Like, I'm not kidding you. He was on a crazy pace to start the year, and then he got hurt. People forget that. Has not been the same since. I still think he can go and succeed. But that's the thing. Davante Adams, no matter who's throwing him the football, produces. Whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell or Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford, he produces. But you know what? I would take Matthew Stafford over Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is great, and he's a Hall of Famer. But I think if you put Stafford in Green Bay, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and understand this doesn't come from a place of jealousy. This doesn't come from a place of, you know, anger. I like Aaron. A lot of people hate this guy. I don't give a rip about what he says, you know, off the field. I like him as a player. And that's just the reality of it. I separate the art from the artist. Maybe he doesn't say the most divine things. Maybe I don't agree with everything he says on Pat McAfee. But when I'm watching his film, I love watching this guy play. Absolutely love it. That said, Had Matthew Stafford been on the Packers his whole career and Aaron Rodgers had been on the Lions, Aaron Rodgers never wins the Super Bowl, but Stafford might have won multiple. I think Stafford is the better quarterback, and I think Stafford, when it needs to happen, he comes through. If that number 1 seeded Packers team swapped quarterbacks with Matthew Stafford in 2021, the Rams don't win the Super Bowl, the Packers win the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford would have won that Super Bowl for the 1 seeded Packers. They would not have lost in the cold. Remember, it was snowing? They wouldn't have lost in the cold and the snow against the 49ers. The 49ers never go to the NFC title game, and the Rams would have lost to them. This is what I'm talking about. So you have Stafford, who's a game changer, and you add Davante Adams, and it's like, I know he's played with outstanding receivers, and I'm not trying to say Davante Adams at 32 is the best receiver he's ever seen. I'm not saying he's better than prime Robert Woods. Maybe he is, but it's a little bit closer. I'm not saying he's better than prime Cooper Kupp. I'm not saying he's better than Triple Crown Cooper Kupp, but it's a different skill set. It's a different type. It's a different archetype of a wide receiver. There's no need to scheme up Davante Adams. That's the beauty of Davante Adams. You don't have to create any opening. He is going to win off the line of scrimmage with his crazy footwork. That is what's made him so good for so long. Just think about that. It's pretty nuts. It's awesome. I mean, I love it. I love the idea that you can get off the line of scrimmage like that and you could be so crafty with your footwork. I mean, there's so many different things that go into it. Davante Adams, by the way, Doug Farrar, who had a great tweet, Davante Adams was not given the benefit of being the target in motion on any of his 16 explosive receptions last season. Guess who led the league with 50 targets in motion? Puka Nacua. Guess who ranked 4th in the league with 41? Cooper Kupp. There was no, and that's the thing. You can put, Davante Adams doesn't have to just stay out there and not go in motion. They can motion him. He could be featured as the motion man, and you keep Tutu Atwell in that spot on a certain play. And that's the thing. Since he left the Packers didn't want to pay Davante Adams. He left. We get it. Went to the Raiders, had a really, really good year, 1,500 yards with his teammate, reunited with his teammate from Fresno State, Derek Carr. You know, Davante Adams, he hasn't had an offensive guru, offensive play caller, offensive mind like Sean McVay. I'm really fired up to see what McVay draws up with Adams and Puka. And I think that also just having Adams is going to, now you can't double Puka Nacua. And you can't really double Davante Adams. And you can't double Tutu Atwell. No, by the way, Jordan Whittington in 2 years is going to be surrounded with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Davante Adams. Don't you think that's going to help a young receiver? Who, by the way, Steve Weish, friend of the show, he said on NFL Network, this guy is a workhorse. His preparation is different. Davante Adams cares. He is a gym rat. That's what I like to hear. Also, he's going to have his best blocking season of his career. No doubt about it. The Rams put an emphasis on it. So I'm not worried about that. He's also a way better blocker than people give him credit for. People are like, he is terrible. He doesn't care. I watched the film. He cares. He's not going to absolutely level you like Jordan Whittington. He's not Puka Nacua, who could pose as a tight end. No. But you know what? Was that sustainable? Is it really sustainable to have your receivers blocking like they're tight ends? Could you argue that maybe that has slowed down Cooper Kupp? It's made him more prone to being injured? Think about that. I think they're going to go more air raid. I'm not saying they're going to run an air raid offense, but I think they're going to go more explosive passing attack this year. I really believe that. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. This is probably the most excited I've been for a season. Man, the Super Bowl season, when they first got Stafford, And that's the feeling. I don't know. I get vibes. I get, there's just something about right now, Sean McVay going on all these shows. There's a different feeling in the air. Now, it saddens me because I think what's going to hurt is that Cooper Kupp doesn't get to be a part of that. But at the same time, the bittersweet nature of this is like, yeah, I was just talking about this with my father. We watched Isaac Bruce wear the 49ers uniform. We watched Torrey Holt go to the Patriots and the Jaguars. We watched Todd Gurley get cut. We watched Robert Woods get traded away for a bag of beans. I mean, Kurt Warner was pushed out after like 2 years removed from a Super Bowl win. That's not true. Like 4 years. But anyway, point being, we've gone through a lot. If you're a Rams fan and have been a Rams fan for a long time, then you know. And it's like, it sucks to see Cooper go, but it's also like, I'm just used to it at this point. Like Eric Dickerson is one of the greatest players in this franchise's history, and they wouldn't give him money. They wouldn't pay him. They traded him away right after they got Jim Everett, who was supposedly that Stafford. They got Everett because they were a quarterback away. And then they wouldn't pay Eric Dickerson. Jalen Ramsey traded away for Hunter Long and a third-round pick. Exactly. Cutting Bobby Wagner. Not saying Bobby Wagner was this all-time Ram, but we loved Bobby Wagner. That 1 year, everyone loved Bobby Wagner. Hell, I still root for Bobby Wagner. I mean, I like Bobby Wagner in Seattle, so that probably had something to do with it. But I still root for Bobby Wagner on the Commanders. And he's a good dude, and he's easy to root for. That hurt. And the way Leonard Floyd, like, you play all the games of the season despite the fact the team is absolutely not doing anything. They go 5-12, gone. Man, Baker Mayfield, how much he meant to us at that end of the 2022 season, and to see him leave, that sucked. And then the coaches, sucks to see coaches leave. Like Raheem Morris, sucks to see him leave. It sucks to see Brandon Staley leave after having the number one defense in the league. It sucks to see Kevin O'Connell leave because they won a Super Bowl with him. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm used to it. So look, offense, you got your one-on-one matchup. You can win with Davante Adams in a multitude of ways. You got Puka Nacua, who can win after the catch. He can make the craziest catches you've ever seen. He's got enough speed where he can take the top off the defense. He can be motioned, all of that. This is the year where Tutu Atwell, and I want to bring this up because I talked to my father a lot, in case you didn't notice. He did a report on Tutu Atwell. He was really curious. He really wanted to dive into this. So Jason Ellenbogen, shout out to him, my dad. I projected out Tutu's production if he had 900 snaps per year for the last 3 years. Now, obviously, is he going to get 900 snaps? That might be a little bit of a far-fetched thing. But you see what he's talking about. You see what he means. You see the vision. So let's look at Puka Nacua right now. How many snaps did he have this year? Or excuse me, in 2023 when he played essentially the full season. By the way, Nacua was the number one wide receiver graded by PFF this past year. For the record, I don't know if everyone knew that. It's time to stop acting like he isn't like maybe one of the best receivers in football. But anyway, Puka Nacua had, let's see here. How many snaps did he have? That's what I'm looking for right now. Okay. He had 999 snaps in 2023, playing almost every game. I mean, he played every game, but he didn't play the full Week 18 game. So if Tutu Atwell had at least 900 snaps, my dad projected that he would have had 53 catches for 876 yards in 2022. In 2023, he would have had 51 catches for 633. And in 2024, he would have had 89 catches for 1,190 yards. If he had 1,000 snaps in 2022, he would have had 58 catches for 968 yards, 57 catches for 703 yards in 2023. And in 2024, he would have had 99 catches for 1,322 yards. For reference, Jefferson, Chase, and St. Brown all had over 1,000 snaps. So likelihood of that is very low. But the point being here that my father was trying to make with Tutu Atwell is that Atwell has this untapped potential that they're about to tap into finally. Okay? He just got paid $10 million for 1 year. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you this. They like him. They are essentially admitting that they haven't given him enough chance, but they're paying him what they probably should have paid him had he gotten the chance, right? So $10 million for 1 year. That 1 year allows him with a new workload, a correct workload, and actually banking on him to help the offense. Now it allows him to prove himself. And if he does, I think he's getting a long-term deal with the Rams. I think it'll work out because Davante Adams, his contract will end in after 2026, just in time for Puka Nakua's contract to hit that books because he is going to get an extension. So here's the deal with Tutu, is that you have the speed, you have the ability to play way bigger than you actually are, you have the route running ability and just the reliability in late in games. Tutu Atwell in that Bills game did not catch too many passes. But when he needed to come up with that fourth down conversion, he caught it. How about the first down conversion against the Eagles in the snow? He caught it. How about that over-the-shoulder catch late in that game against the 49ers to make an incredible and improbable comeback to essentially save their season and stop them from going 0-3, which would have ended up being 0-4? He caught it. So my point here is that Tutu is clutch. Tutu caught a touchdown in the playoffs against Detroit. Tutu caught a huge first down on that final drive against the Eagles. Tutu Atwell doesn't resemble what you would expect from a 5'9", a $160, 65 wide receiver. Like, he's fast, but you don't normally expect him to go up and high point footballs like he does. You don't expect him to hold on to the football. A lot of the problem with those speedy, small receivers is that they never get their hand placement in the correct spot. So they drop a lot of passes. That's what happens. And Atwell doesn't. He's reliable. But now you factor in the reliability, the versatility, the speed. By the way, he can block better than you realize. And then you add in what Atwell can do as the catalyst of an offense that just added Davante Adams to go with Puka Nacua. And let's just be honest with ourselves. We looked at Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua like this is a crazy duo. But sadly, Puka Nacua has never been around fully healthy, 100% Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp. And is Puka Nacua around the greatest version of Davante Adams? No. But Davante Adams at age 32 is still a top 10 receiver. So he is around a better receiver than what he was around with Kupp. That's just an objective opinion. So I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And so it opens up the door for a young receiver in Puka Nacua, is 23 years old. Opens up the door for 25-year-old Tutu Atwell. Like, you start to see how this thing is going to work. It's going to be pick your poison. And we're just talking about the passing attack. And we're just talking about 3 receivers. Whittington is your 4th for now. They might add another one. And then tight end, it looks to me like they're going to keep Colby Parkinson. And you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Because, again, and I've said this in other videos, but this is, at the end of the day, my projections are somewhat knowledgeable. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I also have some inside knowledge every now and then. So some of my predictions come with that. But at the same time, some of my predictions are a shot in the dark. Educated guess. educated guess means I have knowledge. I know what I'm talking about. And this makes sense based on what I know, what the situation entails. But that doesn't always work out. And so what do I mean by that? Well, when I say, yeah, they might cut Darius Williams, or, and I put that in the mock free agency, or, yeah, they're going to trade away Colby Parkinson. That doesn't mean they're going to. Those are just guesses. Like that's just a projection. Parkinson caught the last touchdown, fun fact, for the Rams of their 2024 to 2025 season. Parkinson still has a lot of room to grow. He's 26 years of age. He's a really good blocker. He's got a crazy body composition. And I think when you go back to that Patriots game and that catch he made, and then early on, some of the catches he made in that Lions game, there's some potential there. I want to be fair to Colby Parkinson here. I do. Because here's the deal. Colby Parkinson was playing as part of an offense that was broken all year. You never had the offensive line healthy at the same time. There was always guys that were out, 2 to 3 guys a game, it felt like. So you have that. Higbee wasn't there. Believe it or not, I think Tyler Higbee being back is going to open up things for Colby Parkinson. And you're playing with a constant revolving door at wide receiver. So, look, am I saying Parkinson is going to be special? No. But the Rams did spend a 3-year deal on him. Their out is next year. They'd save about $7 million and only incur a $2 million cap hit. That is their out. So I've actually warmed up to the idea of Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen. I would like to pick up a tight end in the draft, but I see the vision. If they don't go out and get a tight end, fine. And guess what? Evan Ingram just makes it too many cooks in the kitchen. How are you going to get him involved when Tyler Higbee is clearly the guy they want starting? That's what I'm talking about. So in this draft, I think they go with a Harold Fannin Jr., or they probably don't address tight end. My feeling is they're going to address tight end, and Harold Fannin Jr. is probably going to go to the Rams in the 3rd round. I think he fits what they look for. He's a good blocker. He's crazy after the catch, made 32 guys miss. By the way, that leads all tight ends in the FBS in missed tackles forced. He just feels like the type of tight end they would be interested in. You get him in the 3rd round out of Bowling Green, didn't have the best Senior Bowl. I don't really care. I don't care. Oh, he didn't run the fastest 40. I don't care. His tape going up against Power 5, going up against good schools. He puts up stats. He makes plays. He has good film. Harold Fannin Jr., I think it makes a lot of sense for the Rams, and I think that's kind of the direction they'll go in. So I would like to see a tight end. I'd like to see them trade for Michael Mayer, but I'm trying to be a realist here. Now, will they go after a Tyler Warren or a Colston Loveland? Maybe. I don't think Loveland makes any sense, because if you're going to do that, then what's the point of drafting a tight end? Just get a receiver. Because Colston Loveland can't make anybody miss. He only forced 3 missed tackles last year. Harold Fannin Jr. made 32 guys miss. Tyler Warren made over 15 guys miss. I think that matters. Otherwise, why am I throwing to a tight end? I mentioned this in another video. Like, it's just a different target. It's cool. It adds some, it diversifies like your target. Like, I don't care. I'm not throwing to a tight end for my health. I'm throwing to a tight end because he is a bigger receiver that can block, and it puts him in position to be to have other opportunities. Tight ends are bigger than receivers. So their quads are bigger. Their calves are bigger. Their ankles are bigger. They're bigger. So it's harder to bring down. But if I have a tight end that can't make guys miss, that go down from arm tackles, well, I don't really give a rip. That doesn't help me. I'll just throw to my wide receivers. So I'm really curious to see how they look at this, because, they could add a tight end. They absolutely could. But as of right now, I'm of the belief that they're just going to roll with Higbee. They're going to roll with Parkinson. They're going to roll with Allen. and draft a tight end on day 2. That's how I feel. And that could be somebody other than Harold Fannin. I think Fannin is going to be the guy. I just think he fits. So that's how I feel about that. Then you have the offensive line's taken care of. Then you have running back. Now, there are still plenty of running backs in free agency. I don't know if they'll add a running back. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I could see them adding, and I said this before in my running back video. I mean, I think Travion Henderson, and I really think he might be the guy that they go after. And by the way, the position that the Rams are in right now, I would probably trade down. They don't have too many needs. If you re-up Akello and you signed like Tyrell Dodson at linebacker, what needs do you have? Grab the best player available or trade down and recoup picks. And you don't have to trade out of the first round. You trade down to 32, you could still pick up a third rounder. I think trading down makes a lot of sense. They're probably going to miss on most of the guys. I don't know. I think Travion Henderson, Harold Fannin Jr., those are guys that I kind of think the Rams might be interested in. Ariante Ursary is another guy that makes sense. I mean, Emeka Ibuka fits their offense like a glove, but where does he play? You just gave Tutu $10 million. You gave Davante Adams $46 million over 2 years or $44 million over 2 years, and you have Puka Nacua. Where does he play, right? And they like Jordan Whittington a lot. Probably a lot more than some other people do. So that's the thing. Are you going to get an explosive back? Are you fine just running it back as it is? I mean, you're going to lose some guys along the way. They lost Bobby Brown. They lost Hunter Long. They lost Michael Hoyt. But I don't think they're done. I think they're going to add some players. There's also, keep in mind, there's going to be those minimum, like the vet minimum deals. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Johnson's back. Like I said, Tyler Johnson, Ronnie Rivers, like Jake Hummel. I really wouldn't be surprised if they go vet minimum on those guys. I wouldn't. So, yeah, I mean, I really like the way it's looking, though. And, I mean, in conclusion, you know, to the offensive part, Coleman Shelton's your starting center. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm not trying to be mean. I like Bo Limmer, so I don't dislike Bo. I have no reason to dislike Bo Limmer. There's only been one Ram in the history of their organization that has ever given me any sort of back talk, back, whatever, clap back. And that was Micah Kaiser. And I have no issue with him. Micah Kaiser and I had disagreement because I thought it was dumb. I thought it was dumb they let go of Corey Littleton. I thought Littleton was better than Micah Kaiser, and I said that. And then he and his brother got mad, and I mean, it is what it is. But like, my point is that I don't dislike Rams. I don't start issues like Micah. I wasn't tweeting at Micah. I was just doing my job and saying, I think this is a mistake. I think Corey Littleton is a better linebacker. If I responded to Micah Kaiser and said, you know, Corey Littleton is better than you, that's different. But I just said, basically, I think Corey Littleton is a better linebacker, and I don't agree with this. I don't agree with letting him go. And obviously, Littleton went on, and I don't know if he's still in the league, but he went on to have a decent career. He was with the Raiders. I know he's with the Texans. I've always liked his game from afar. Well, I loved his game on the Rams, and I met the guy, very nice guy, but just in general, was always a big fan of his play, and I felt like he just integrated so well into being that Rams do-it-all linebacker. And I feel like that's something that Ernest Jones, it took him a little bit, but then when they got Ernest Jones, he replaced everything Littleton did, you know, blitzing, coverage, you know, stopping the run. And now that they lost Ernest Jones, I think, what's his face? Omar Speights, I think, is doing a great job, but I think they need another guy. Anyway, The whole point of that was that I don't hate Bo Limmer. I already can see people saying, not giving Bo Limmer a fair shake. Well, I'm just calling it like it is. They didn't sign a guy that played 1,100 snaps to be a depth piece. Like, this is somebody that's probably going to make $9 million a year. I'm telling you, it's going to be like the Poona Ford deal. Remember I said that. Like, I'm telling you right now, Coleman Shelton is going to be your starting center in 2025. Now, if he goes down, sure, Limmer will take over. But they are signing Coleman Shelton. This is just, of course, my opinion. I have no doubt they are signing Coleman Shelton to be their starting center. That's how I feel. Defensive side, you got Poona Ford to go with Kobe Turner. I think the Poona Ford move was really smart. It's bittersweet because I think Bobby Brown is awesome, and I love. Forget about the fact that him and I are friends. I love the idea of having a homegrown guy who's 24 years of age who's just getting better. His best play is in front of him. He is going to be good. I'm telling you, he is already good, but he's going to be really good in Carolina. That said, Poona Ford is a really good player. And the here and now, he makes sense. Again, their chance to win a Super Bowl makes a lot of sense. Makes a ton of sense. So, Poona helps their run game, because if you're going to lose Bobby, I saw way too many people like, yeah, just do the draft. Like, oh, yeah, that's great and all, but like, I think I'd rather just get somebody that I can trust, you know? And sure enough, I think you could trust Poona Ford. He gets off his blocks well. He can take on double teams. He's double teamed over 60% of the reps he had. You know, this is a really, really good player. And obviously, he's 5 years older than Bobby Brown. You could argue he's probably a better player right now. Again, 5 years older. But it doesn't matter because this is the Stafford window. Notice how none of these deals they make are 4 or 5 year deals. Yeah, they're not doing that. I mean, Puka Nakua's was probably going to be a 5-year deal or whatever. But they're not doing that for, you know, random players that are nice pieces. You know? So, linebacker, again, needs to be addressed. Cornerback needs to be addressed. Safety, we're good. Next year could be a problem. Now, understand this. I saw somebody in the comment section, and by the way, I'll get to super chats. I didn't even realize how far. We're almost at an hour now, so I appreciate you guys. I saw in the comments section, I don't remember who it was like, yeah, that's a Quentin Lake disrespect or Quentin Lake shade. I hope you weren't directing that at me. The reason why they're going to need a safety potentially for next year, not this year, is because both Quentin Lake and Cam Curl are free agents. Period. So McCullough and Kinchins, they'll be under contract, but I still think they're going to need to add, you know, at least somebody for insurance. Now, I want Cam Curl and Quentin Lake back next year because guess what? Next year, here's who you got to sign next year. You got Cam Curl, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyron Williams, Quentin Lake, Kobe Durant, Tutu Atwell, and that's really it. I mean, there are guys that I'd like back. I mean, Keir Thomas is a restricted free agent. Xavier Smith is an exclusive rights free agent. You got AJ Green at corner. Alex Ward is the long snapper restricted free agent. Justin Diedick is really good depth at, you know, he's the exclusive rights free agent. But they don't have a ton of marquee free agents. Their biggest free agents, 27-year-old Cam Curl, who's going to look to get paid. 27-year-old Quentin Lake, who's going to look to get paid. Tutu Atwell, going to be 27. Those are their marquee guys. And then Kyron Williams, who's 26. Garoppolo will be 35. Next year, as it stands right now, they have $64 million in cap space. Now, of course, if they cut Cooper Kupp, they're going to have $84.7 million in cap space next year. Yeah, I mean that's really the only thing they can do to really free up money. We also have no idea what that Stafford cap number will look like. We don't know what it is now. We don't know what it is next year, whatever. So no idea. But currently speaking, and I'm going to assume this thing has not been working today, so I'm going to try. Oh, there we go. Cool. So yeah, currently, there we go. We got 2025. Rams have 32 million cap space. Now that I added Tutu Atwell, that 10 million right there. Okay. I just put that in there as a placeholder. Poona Ford, I don't know what that deal is going to be. Okay. But if we're doing the math and I'm just putting in a default cap number. So if we put it in a default cap number at, what was it? He got 29.6 over 3. That's 9.8 million a year. So we'll just put 9.8. Sick. Not $98 million. That's a lot for Poona Ford. And then Garoppolo, it sounds like this is about $4 million. Like the cap hit anyway. And we're just putting this in as a placeholder. I'm not going to get into the prorated bonus or any of that BS because I don't really care. This is just to give you an idea of where they are right now. This is where they are right now. Wait, what? That doesn't look right. Did it not add it? Yeah, it didn't add this at all. Okay, so this is wonky. Oh, I know why. Top 51 cutoff. It's not including them because it's a placeholder here. There's nothing I can do. All right. Well, bear with me, folks. You just know I'm talking about Tutu Atwell, Poona Ford, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So in the meantime here, I'm going to piss off some people. We'll put in Trey Lance as the placeholder for Garoppolo. This is just so we have an idea. We'll give him 4.5 million cap hit. There you go. Now we see, okay, now the cap is starting to dwindle down. Okay, so Tutu Atwell, since we can't do him, we can't put him in there. Let's do Tyler Johnson here. We'll use Tyler Johnson again as a placeholder because they're just being weird on this site right now. So there's 10 million there, okay? And then Poona Ford, we'll just put Larry Murchison. And then Poona Ford was 9.8. So that's, again, placeholder. Could change. So then you have Coleman Shelton. And I'm gonna go around the idea that Coleman Shelton, while it'll be like 9 million over time or whatever, I think this is probably gonna be like a $5 million cap hit. Okay. And that said, it probably, I don't know. Poona Ford will probably be around a 5 million. I'm gonna say Poona Ford's a $5 million cap hit. I just want to make this somewhat accurate. Not Ford. We're using Larry Murchison as a placeholder here. Okay. So Ford and Ford and Shelton have the same $5 million cap hit. Okay. So there we go there. So that puts the Rams at 11.9 million. And that is with the, so now Cooper Kupp is cut. This is the likely option. Okay, he's going to get cut on Wednesday if they don't come up with a trade. They're going to eat 22 million in dead money and save 7.5. That hurts. So then you have 19.4 million in cap space. So then what you could do is you could cut Darius Williams and Parkinson, go up to 26.4. It's not feeling like they're going to do that. So where do you have to go from here? Is this enough space to do really anything? Well, this is all dependent also on Matthew Stafford's contract, which I believe Matthew Stafford's contract is going to lower this cap hit. We're going to just take out the bonus here. We're going to lower this cap hit to about 45, we'll just say. So that gives you about 23.4 million. Effective cap space, you got 20 million to spend. You really want to save about 10 million for the rest of the year because it costs cap space to pick guys off of, to take guys off of the practice squad and put them on the active roster and make moves and all that. So, that's something to keep in mind here. This is kind of where the Rams are at. Now, I don't really know if this is entirely accurate because it does feel like this has gone down. It feels like this is off. Like, I don't know why. It feels like this is off. But at the same time, if it's not, Rams have 20 million. They can they can mess around a little bit with it if they like some guys. Here are some moves. The only moves that I'm expecting them to potentially make. I think they get Kello probably in a week or so when the market has died down. We'll just say maybe that cap hits like 42 or 4.2 million. And there you go. So now you're down about 17 million in effective cap space with the, that's how I would see it. But they're not done. They are not done. And what does this look like here? So, see, they got the Rams at 32 million. I'm just a little confused about where they're getting that from. It was a lot higher before, and I don't see anybody added except for Davante Adams. So it's like I'm not really sure where they're getting that from. Like, you see the money here. There's something that feels off about that, but at any rate, that's what you're looking at here with the Rams. I think that they are in a really good spot, personally. And I really like what they've done. And I think, obviously there's more to come. And I'm really trying to keep an eye on the Jason OTC account for Over the Cap because he's the one that kind of puts out the contract details. But we don't have any contract, added more contracts. Okay. So, no, these are grades. Never mind. Yeah, never mind on that. Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, yeah. I was looking to see if there was anything on, not the Shelton one, because again, only the Bears reporter put that out there. It's not like, Schefter or any of them have confirmed it. We don't have any idea on how much or how many years, how much money Shelton is going to make. I'm just guessing it's going to be 3 years, 32 million with like half of that guaranteed. I could be wrong, but that's kind of just my guess. Well, that's what the effective cap space is for. So when you see here, like the Rams have 32. So effective cap space puts them at 29.9. This is essentially how much they have left because this accounts for what they're going to spend in the draft. This actually negates what they're going to spend in the draft and tells you exactly what they can spend currently. Like the Patriots have more picks and they have a higher pick. So the rookie wage scale is going to make the Patriots pick cost more in terms of cap space. And so for that reason, that's why their effective cap space is a lot less. Well, they take off a lot more with the effective cap space, the draft, than say the Rams. The Rams, you're looking at, let's see here. Like around 3 million, give or take. Look at some of these. Around 3 million. Oh, that's like about 8 million. This is, pretty much the same. So it really depends. Like the Raiders here, about 7 million. It means they have some good picks. That's what that means. In terms of dead money, look at all the dead money the 49ers are eating right now. And the Rams, they got some dead money too. 25.7 next year. Nobody has dead money, apparently. I don't know if I believe that. Also, next year, the Chargers have $172 million in cap space, and the Dolphins have negative 15. Good Lord. How do you get yourself in that position? They probably have a lot of different ways that they can free up money. 2027, the Rams lead everybody in cap space. That feels 2027. I would imagine by that point, the Rams have won at least one Super Bowl. And that feels like probably the turning point in their organization moving forward on to the next chapter. Like, okay, you're going from Stafford to the next era. That's what 2027 feels like, because they actually lead the whole NFL in cap space in 2027. So that's interesting. Only 13 guys under contract. Really interesting stuff. But, we'll see what ends up happening. We shall see what ends up happening. I thought we'd get another deal, or we at least get some details on the Coleman Shelton move, tonight. But I guess we're not going to get that. I don't know. Anyway, I think we've been live for over an hour. I think that's going to do it. So it's been a lot of fun talking with you guys. I am amped about this season. I'm amped about the rest of this free agency, the draft. We're going to have an idea of really, what that looks like. I'm going to get into super chats to wrap this thing up. Will not forget super chats ever. So there's that. But let's see here. Horrible. They didn't sign a linebacker. No more boom, please, says SoCal 88. Yeah, I mean, SoCal, I wouldn't necessarily close the book on getting a linebacker. It's not looking great, but there are guys out there. And again, I say Tyrell Dodson just makes a lot of sense. He's the best option. I would really like to see Tyrell Dodson go to the Rams. SoCal, thank you again. They really don't value linebackers. It's kind of frustrating. It is frustrating. I agree with that for sure. Jordan, what's up? Thank you for the 2. What's the bet for this year, Jake? You tell me. What's your over-under? This is how it started. I said they'd win 13 games, I think it was. Or no. What did I say? I forget. I think I said they win 11 games, and then you were saying how they won't even win 5, and I was like, they'll win more than 5 easily, and then that was our first bet. So, Jersey bet, I would say, and I'm probably going to go with 12 to 13 wins, but I still need to see how the schedule aligns. It's not necessarily knowing who they're going to play. It's knowing when they're going to play. I think the schedule can really kind of decide, in some aspects, if a team, like how a team's going to do. Like, for instance, I don't know how the hell the Rams won that back-to-back between the Bills, which I thought was going to be a really tough game, and then going on the road on a short week in primetime Thursday Night Football in the rain and beating the 49ers. But when I saw that before the season, I wrote down that the Rams would lose both games. I thought that was brutal. I thought having to play the Bills and the 49ers back-to-back was brutal. They ended up winning both. So, we'll see how the schedule appears. Are the Rams going to start off on the road 3 of the first 4 games of the year? Like, those are some things I want to know, but that's just going to decide how many wins I give them. It doesn't mean playoffs or no playoffs. They're going to the playoffs. As long as they stay healthy, relatively healthy, they're going to the playoffs. I have no doubt about it. So, yeah, Kareem, I totally agree, and you totally know ball. Ruiz, thank you for the 2. Sign Kello, draft linebacker, tight end, fire candle on its way, Jake. Hey, appreciate that, Ruiz. Appreciate you, man. Wildman Samurai, thank you for the 5. We still need to sign a linebacker big time. I'm telling you guys, keep an eye on Tyrell Dodson Jack Sanborn, EJ Speed, and Devin Bush. Bush had a huge year this year. He's 26 years old. Jack Sanborn, good run defender. To me, I don't think he's going to be really expensive. 24, I like him a lot. EJ Speed is 29. This would be more of like the model the Rams have been following. Good run stopper, good athlete, good in coverage, just a really solid player. Tyrell Dodson is 26. He's outstanding in coverage and a really good run defender. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think there are still some options there. I know a lot of people are upset about the direction that they've gone in, maybe not caring so much about linebackers. I don't know if it's that's necessarily it. Just because they didn't get involved in linebackers on the first day, I'm not going to say that they don't care. Keep an eye out for Eric Kendricks. If this team, again, is trying to win a Super Bowl, going out and getting a guy like Eric Kendricks, 33 years old, veteran, could see them do something like that. If they go this model where they're going after kind of the older, more wily veteran, Eric Kendricks makes sense. Is Zach Cunningham, Quan Alexander, Devondre Campbell probably doesn't want to even play anymore, so no. He quit in the middle of a game. Raekwon McMillan. There are definitely some names to keep an eye on. But again, I think Tyrell Dodson, guys like that, Devin Bush, they're interesting. Here's one that I find very intriguing. I don't think he's going to be available, but keep an eye on Nate Landman, okay? Nate Landman from the Falcons is a restricted free agent. And if he doesn't get tendered, and I'll look if he has. If Nate Landman doesn't get tendered by Wednesday, he is going to be a free agent. Oh, he's going to hit free agency. Yep, he is going to hit free agency. So, I don't know. Like, that's just a guy that I like his tape. I'm not even sure, like, how great his stats were because I didn't think he'd be available. But let's take a look at Nate Landman here. So Landman was the 9th rated linebacker in terms of run defense. Yeah, the tape definitely indicates that. Really, really solid player. And I guess my question is, like, is he any good in coverage? Statistically, I think he's a very well-rounded linebacker. And I think you have a lot of guys like this in this league, you know. Oh, shit. Did I have it set for 2023? Damn. I think I had it set for the wrong year. But I could have sworn Landman. Let's see here. Yeah, this past year he wasn't as good. He also clearly went down in snaps. More missed tackles. Not good in coverage. I don't know. I would not be against bringing in 6'3", 235-pound Nate Landman. 26 years old. Falcons declined his tender. It's another option. He's not the fastest guy, but you know, I would not be against adding him. As far as some of these other guys, let's see if they're available here. No, I think it would be just him. So yeah, if you want to get a really good run stopper, also Willie Gay Jr. is available as well. Good athlete. There are linebackers, guys. I'm not worried. I'm really not. So my guess is they'll probably end up adding somebody. It could be Roseboom, but don't be surprised. I mean, that we'll see if Hummel comes back. But yeah, keep an eye on, I'd say Tyrell Dodson, as far as the best fits, I think, for the Rams defense, Tyrell Dodson, Jack Sanborn, and EJ Speed. And Landman, you could argue. So anyway, Wildman, thank you for the 5. Yeah, they do need a linebacker, but there's still some options. And then Retro Schmetro, thank you for the 2. Can we get the shades for Puna? Celebrate the W. Only because you asked, I'll end the show like that. Had I seen it earlier, I would have done it earlier. It is bittersweet because it does mean my guy, Bobby Brown, is gone, and I don't love that. But I like Puna. Puna Makata, right? There you go. Douchebag City. All right. So that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting me as always. Still ended up having over 400 people in here right now, which is insane. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you liked what you saw. If you're on Kick, be sure to hit that follow button if you haven't already. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already on YouTube. I'm sure we'll have more stuff to cover tomorrow. And then free agency, all these contracts finalize and become official the first day of the new league year, which is Wednesday. So, keep an eye on that. And and I will see you guys in the next live stream or video. Probably video. So you guys take care. Love y'all. And I'll see you soon. Later, folks.